What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Byeth update that just got announced for Blade Sorcery, PCVR, and Nomad. My monitor is over here, so if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the patch notes. So the Baron starts off the notes with a huge announcement saying that Warp Frog is officially working on their next game. He says it's way too early to do any kind of reveal, but the next game will include some DNA from Blade Sorcery, so I imagine that means things like physics and combat. He also says that it's going to be super modder friendly, which is huge nowadays. With so many people making mods for Blade Sorcery, and just like the modding scene for a lot of games in general becoming huge thanks to the developers of the games giving the modders SDKs. We're also going to be using our new and massively improved Thunder Road 2 game framework for developing this game. I don't know what that means, but I assume that's just like the game engine or the physics engine or something. But here's where the Blade Sorcery news starts to pour in. It's been just over a year since our 1.0 release, and although there has been 7 post 1.0 patches, you will likely have heard me saying how many times 1.0 was going to be the last content update. Or was it? He says that they're not great at sticking to their words, so what they're going to be doing is introducing a bunch of brand new content in the Byeth update. If you've been a follower of the studio, you will know that Warp Frog has a Warp Frog? What the f is a Warp Frog? Warp Frog has a terrible condition called scope creep-itis, where we literally cannot leave things alone or follow our own production plans. LOL. And here is where he announces the Byeth update for Blade and Sorcery. The Byeth updates are going to be a series of 4 free content updates for PCVR and Nomad that expand upon the other nations of Byeth, which is the planet that Blade and Sorcery takes place on, Rakta, Centaura, Kartiv, and Madlu, by bringing official canon weapons and armor from these nations into the game, which I'm very excited for. As an avid vanilla Blade and Sorcery player, I do find myself sometimes wishing that there was more official weapons in the game. This makes me super excited to see what they're going to bring. If you own the game, you will receive these updates as free content when they are ready. So I don't know what that means if you don't own the game. Maybe the game will go up in price. I'm not sure. Or maybe you'll have to pay for them individually. Again, not sure. Just speculating. The first update, the Rakta update, will release later this year, likely toward the end of this year. The Centaura update, Kartiv update, and Madlu update will follow next year, leading all the way up to the end of 2026. And while there isn't any kind of concept art or images for the other nations, the Rakta nation kind of gives me like a Wukong, like Black Myth Wukong kind of vibe, which I love. I love like the Japanese kind of, I don't want to say ninja, but the Japanese style of fighting, I guess. Like this concept art for the Rakta armor just looks insane to me. And then here you can see some of the weapons that are expected to be in this update. I don't know what that one on the left is. The one in the middle definitely looks like a bow staff, and the one on the right kind of just looks like a really long scythe with a spear. I don't really know what that's called. It looks pretty cool. I'm excited to see these weapons, especially the bow staff. Off the top of my head, I can think, aside from the crystal staffs, we don't have really many blunt weapons in the game that look like that, like long blunt weapons. Again, off the top of my head, so I could be wrong. That's just my little pea-brain knowledge. So basically what Baron says here is, while they're starting development on a new game, they don't want to leave Blade and Sorcery fans in the dust without any new content for X amount of time while they're working on their brand new game. So they're going to give us these content updates over the span of the year as sort of a middle ground. So here's where he tells us what to expect. Things the update will definitely include will be new canon lore weapons and armor, representative of the other nations of Byeth. New gear will be purchasable in the Crystal Hunt shop, and likely the shopkeeper will have a little lore to share in each update about how he came by them. And to go with this, it is likely that each update will also include some kind of little feature. And by little feature, I mean something that won't be likely to cause mega bugs or break the game. Now, I don't want to get your hopes too high because this kind of upset me when I read this for the first time. What won't be included in the updates is any feature that could heavily break the game, which, you know, sounds good. But then he goes on to say that that means nothing like new dungeons, maps, or major mechanics. Which, me personally, I get kind of bored fighting the same boss over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And obviously, to get new crystals, you have to beat the boss. But if there was more diversity and different variations of the boss, it might feel different and refreshing every time you have to get the crystal. It doesn't feel as rewarding getting the crystal when you do it for the 100th time as opposed to maybe the first or second time. So yeah, that's really the only thing that I'm upset about. I don't even want to say upset because he said there's not going to be a whole lot of big changes. It's just going to be weapons and some other content. And this is just for some of the people that really enjoy the lore of the game, which I do enjoy, but I don't look super heavily into it. If you were a fan of the Crystal Hunt lore and collected the journal entries, you may already have an idea of what the other nations of Byeth Byeth are about. Aradin or Aradin, don't really know how to pronounce that correctly. I believe that's like the main nation or the only nation in the game right now that has dungeons. But now you have more lore and other additions and features to the other nations like Rakta, Centaura, Kartib, and Madlu. And again, like I said, I'm not super into the lore of this game, but if you want to read up on any of this, it's all posted in the activity section of the Blade and Sorcery Steam page. And then to finish these patch notes off, he says that they're going to be moving to OpenXR and Unity 6, which I believe Stress Level 0 is doing that with Bone Lab, and they're probably going to be doing that with a bunch of their other future games if they ever come out. And he explains that the reason this has to happen is, unlike regular PC game development, VR has an extra complication of needing to support many different headsets, which involve endless plugins like Steam OpenVR, Meta SDK, Pico SDK, HTCA. So this probably all sounds good, but here are the complications for mods. Moving to a new version of Unity means IL2CPP, aka scripting, will need to be updated. We will be working on this new scripting bridge, but you never know. There may be disruptions for scripting. Scripting is only relevant for Nomad, so this will only be relevant to Nomad players and not PCVR. Finally, Unity 6 will mean map mods will need updating. Map modders will need to set up their nav mesh with the nav mesh surface component, configure, then rebake. As little knowledge as I have of modding, I think rebake means lights, like the lighting, like rendering the lights. And then he finishes it off with, that's all for now, folks. Next you will hear from me is when the Rakta update is more developed, when I will be able to share some previews of the new content. I will likely have a better idea of when the update will drop around then too. Cheers. He actually said that. I didn't just make that up. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy this kind of video where I just go over news for something, please let me know. I like sharing news because I'm very passionate about these games, and I want you guys to be updated on what's coming to the game as well. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing. It helps me a ton. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day or night or whatever time it is for you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.